Hey guys, Brian with the Seat Shop. Today we're doing some installs on Dodge Ram. Dodge Ram '06 through '08 for the 1500s, 6 to 9 for the 25 and 3500s. This video will be the same for the ST, SLT, all the way up to the Laramie. There's a couple little differences in between the two, all the three different models, but man, the frame is the same. Biggest thing is Laramie is going to have power on it, just a little more trimming on the side for the control panel, all that. But you know, there's a lumbar knob on some of them don't have a lumbar. But the overall, how it goes on, how it comes off, they're basically identical to one another. So this seat, we're gonna go ahead and strip this down. This was sitting in cloth. We're gonna pull the cloth off, reskin it with new cloth, show you how that all goes. Tools to do this, really basic, something you should always have around the shop. Screwdriver, I just put on the impact. Pry tool, I got a little 90-degree pick. I got a set of needle nose pliers, a pair of scissors, and I got a little marking pen, a grease pen. You use chalk, something like that, just so you can make some lines before you make your trim cut. That way you know you're cutting on the right spot. So real basic, that's all we need. Now here's one of the tricky things about the Rams pulling the seats out. If you had the 40-20-40 seats up front, you've got to unbolt both the driver and the passenger side to get to it, because there's the 20 portion, as you can see on this frame here. Here's the little wings that the 20 portion bolts onto. You can't get to the nuts underneath there with it all bolted in. So we unbolt the passenger side too, lean the whole rig to the back seat, and that way you can get to the nuts underneath here to undo those so you can take the seat out. So unlike Chevy and Dodge, or Chevy and Ford, you get to unbolt everything to get it out. But it's worth it. It's not that difficult to do. Just some more to unbolt to undo to get the driver's seat out. So we got the driver out. I'm not sure what bolts are onto the floorboard. I can't remember what those are, but you guys can figure that out. See what the four bolts are that are holding the seat to the floor, and your power connection underneath if you have power coming from the bottom. It's just going to be an easy, quick connect. You know, pinch it and pull it off. You'll be good to go. So we're going to go through the disassembly first. New bottom, new top. We're going to put new Dura Foam in this rig. All of our stuff matches factory. So here at the Seat Shop, all of our stuff matches the original. So if you just need to do the driver bottom, we can match your driver bottom. It'll match up with your existing top, so you don't have to do the top if the top's in good shape. If the top's beat up too, get both. You're going to need a foam form on the bottom anyway, because the foam just gets hammered from getting in and out of it, just like a pair of shoes, man. There's a 100% failure rate. They're going to wear out. They're going to get mashed down and beat to hell. Put a new foam in there if you keep in the truck. It makes all the difference in the world. So Dura Foam's the way to go on that. New cushion, massive upgrade from the original factory. Different bracing material on the underneath side so the frame doesn't cut up through it. Higher density, better foam. It's a world of difference. A world of difference when you have that on there and you sit on it for the first time. You realize how comfortable your truck really can be. So we're gonna start stripping this apart. First thing, we're gonna start undoing the clips around the edges of the bottom seat. So first, we're gonna hit the front clip. Just gonna lean this sucker up back. The very front, there's one clip in the center that wraps around and hooks on. It's kind of a funky clip because it rolls over the front edge and then pulls up into the clips up into the frame. It's not just a regular kind of a J clip that goes over and just hooks straight on the frame. You can see vinyl all the way around the edge, all the way to the back. You can't see the clip at all. So we have to come up underneath here and we have to pry this thing back. There we go. That's off. We need to take our lumbar recline knob off. Also, if you had power on your seats, if you've got a Laramie, there's going to be a couple screws on the power control panel. That's going to be located here. This is ST, so there's no power on. It's manual, but there's a couple of Phillips head screws as well that hold that control panel on. Undo those screws, pull your control panel off. This one's just got one long Phillips on the inside of this. Oh, a little more. Bada bing, there goes your recline knob. We'll get to the side clips. So there's two clips on this side, two clips on this side, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or so clips on the back. It's kind of funky. We'll get to that in a second. So with this tilted up side, we got let's see. There's two clips here and here that just hook onto the frame. take that pry tool or a flathead. Flathead will work fine for this too. I just happen to have the pry tool with me here. So this is going to pull off like that. It's going to pull off like this. Now if you want to go to the hospital and lose a couple quarts of blood, come in here with your fingers and try to do it yourself without a pry tool, because a lot of this stuff is like a freaking razor blade. So you can get cut up pretty bad if you just try to pull on it with your fingers and tug it off. Just use a pry tool or use a flathead screwdriver to get in there and wedge it off. It's a whole lot easier. Otherwise you're gonna get the hell cut out of you. Other side, same thing. 2 more clips, just like the other side. Push in. That. Those pop off. There we go. So now we're going to go to the back of the seat. Let's do that. We'll come around to the front. So here are all the clips on the back. We got this carpet on the back. Now if you had a regular cab, a lot of times you won't see the carpet here. You'll have this black Duon material because it's going up against the cab of the truck, so it doesn't matter. So they didn't put carpet on it. All this covered the seat shop, we throw carpet on it. Makes it easier. That way if you got a mega cab or quad cab, you got color-coded carpet on the back of it. So there's a first clip here. This comes off. It's a bigger clip like this. Goes over top of this smaller clip. But we got another clip across through here. So this strap comes across to this. You can try to pry that apart, or this will slip off too. So you can slide that off. So that comes across. This is your bottom there. We got 3 clips, 1, 2, and 3. Now we're hooking on the metal there, so I'm gonna pull that little guy off over here. That little guy off. This one right here is not sharp. That one off. Okay, so we got clip 1, 2, 3, 4. Lucky number 5 right there. Okay, so that gets your back, all the clips off the back. Now I've seen some factory ones, even from even some OEM ones that don't have this little clip here and this other little clip on that side. They really don't do anything, but it's a flip of the coin. Some of them have it, some of them don't. Some of them still have the same part number for the cover, but it has them. Some of them don't have it. It's just, you never know. It depends on what the hell they want to do that day when they're sewing it on a Dodge. But if you don't have these, don't worry about it. If you do have them, when we sew them, we're gonna put them on there. That's where those are gonna hook on. So now that the clips are undone for the bottom, we'll start to take the cover off of the foam. So you want to start on one of the corners and start just turning it inside out, pull it up. You don't want to just take it and yank it all off. You want to just start with a corner, turn it up, start with this corner, and go to this corner next, turn inside out. Now these hook on with Velcro. So you just got Velcro channels through here. These just start pulling up. Okay, now I'll feed this stuff through the back. There's that. Get the foam back underneath. Okay, now another difference that there can be between the different models, i.e. ST, SLT, and Laramie, is the amount of Velcro on underneath side. So base model ST only has 2 Velcro, actually 3 Velcro strips. You got one here across the back, and then another one going forward. So there, there, and there. Laramie is going to have a 4th strip that goes across here. You'll see an indentation in the old OEM foam that has this gap is in there, but they don't have any Velcro in it. So there's different Velcro attachments that they did for the different models. I don't know why all the lines still line up. They could have kept one foam part number, added Velcro to all of it, and it would have worked. Our Dura Foam's got Velcro on all the crevices there. So no matter what, if you have an ST all the way up to a Laramie, it's all going to fit the Dura Foam cushion. So we'll throw this to the side. That's how this comes off. It's pretty easy. Stick it over there. They're not going to have any heaters on these. If you do happen to have a heater on, I don't think they had heated seats on those, even on the Laramie on those, but they do. You can peel off the heater, transfer it over to the new Dura Foam. I just take some spray adhesive, shoot a little shot on all four corners, put your heating pad on there, you're good to go. I do believe they did have some of them that were heated, but it's really easy to transfer your heater over to the new foam spray adhesive. You don't want to spray the whole face down and put it on there, just a couple shots on the corners just to keep it in place, then you put the new cover on, it's going to hold it in place. As you can see, the original foam's pretty tore up. This thing's beat up off the side. Most of them are going to be like this, man. They're just hammered. There's no point in trying to fix that. We've got new Dura Foam cushions for these. Put a new foam in there. Makes all the difference in the freaking world, man. Believe me, it makes a massive, massive difference. Plus, saves you a couple hours of screwing with trying to rebuild and carve your foam up and all that jazz. It's, lipstick on a pig, man. It's not good. Put a new Dura Foam in there. So we're going to yank this out of the way. Make you a pillow or some crap with it. I don't know. Target practice. Blow it up. See what some tannerite will do to it. There's no need for it in your truck anymore. We're going to grab a Dura Foam. So here's a new Dura Foam cushion. This is what we would ship to you. And I'm going to grab another one because there's one I've been installing with a couple times. I've been taking on and off a bunch, and I knew it was going to get dirty. But this is the new Dura Foam, but we've been taking covers on and off this and on and off frames a bunch. But same thing, brand new one. We're going to take our cloth cover. Here we go. So here's our cover. So this matches the ST pattern. Like a Laramie, the leather one, the pattern looks pretty much the same. The panels are the same. It's just a little bit different stitching in the center panel, but it's the same foam cushion, same attachment methods, everything. You'll trim a little bit more out on the side panel if you have leather with the power seats, but I'll go over that when we get to that part of the install. So we're going to take this, we're going to turn it inside out. Okay, we can see on the bottom of this cover, we've got 3 different Velcro lines, 2 vertical, 1 horizontal at the back. If you have the leather, there's going to be another Velcro that's sewn here. The foam cushion's got Velcro in all the spaces, so whether you've got cloth, leather, vinyl, whatever the hell it is, it'll work for it. The Dura Foam will match up for it and it'll attach correctly. So we're going to start with this. Since we only have 1 horizontal seam with Velcro, which is at the rear of it, we're going to set the rear one first. So we're going to, with this inside out, I got to, where the front of it's away from me, I'm going to fold this back so I can see my horizontal seam there. Fold that back. Take this, line it up over the back Velcro, and you can see the Velcro sewn here that runs front to back. Just make sure it's not too far left or right. Make sure it's centered. You can see where they're lined up over the Velcro too, but we're going to set just the back Velcro first. That looks good. So do that and then push it down, press it down into the foam, attaching it right there. Okay, and then push real hard on the seam from the top down, making sure that's set. Now I'll flip it around. Look at the front facing me. Look down it, make sure the seams aren't sideways, make sure it's sitting nice and level. And then I'll start at the back and work my way forward, mashing that seam down so it attaches to the Velcro. Push real hard in there, make sure it hooks real well. All right, rinse and repeat. Here we go, other side. Set our Velcro back to front, push in on it. A little easier to work on it with the foam off the frame, just sitting flat here on the table. You get a little more, it's hard to set that back seam because you got the seat top in the way. So I just pull it out, throw it on the table to set those seams. Now we're going to roll this over. I'll start with usually the front corner towards the console side. Put my fingertips on the seam, on the stitch seam from the inside, and then my other hand on the outside, push it down the foam, and roll that corner over all the way down. And then go to the other side, hand underneath, feel for that seam, hand on the outside, push it down the foam, roll that corner over. Okay? Doesn't have to be perfect yet. We'll get it all adjusted once we hook it to the frame. So our cover's pulled over. We're going to now feed it onto here. Okay, so we got the back of the foam's got this big lip on the back, okay? So this whole groove right here is the back of the seat pan. So we got to make sure we feed this all the way through and make sure that the back of that pan is sitting in that groove. You can also tell if it's all the way, to make sure that's all the way back, that the front edge of this foam is going to be lined up right, dead even with the front of the frame. If it's sitting a ½ inch forward of it, you know you don't have it seated all the way back. So when you think you got it in the back, double check the front and make sure the foam is just right, like skin, right on top of it, just right up against that edge. That way you know you got all the way far back. So, got a couple flaps here. Want to keep them out of the way. Come up through here and start pulling this thing through. You don't want to grab the lip of the foam from the back and just pull like hell on it. You may rip it. So you want to lift this up, you know, kind of an angle and push some forward pressure into it. And then you can grab the foam there and just kind of make sure it's working through around the metal. But you want some back pressure to make sure it's seated with the back pressure. And then you're going to, with both fingers, kind of work in front and back, make sure it gets up around that lip. Okay, that feels like we're there. Let's check our front. Yeah, it's right up against it, so we're good on that. Now we're going to feed there's two flaps on it. We get this black material, which is called Dura. Feed that through, and then we're going to feed our carpet flap through. So Dura, we'll stick the clip through. Grab the clip from the back, start pulling it, feeding it through. Okay, now carpet. Another thing, I've seen a couple different bottom foams, bottom covers. Some of them have some bigger plastic on the back. Some have this one little strip. Some don't have a carpet on at all. They just have that black Dura material. They changed their parts up a million different times. There's a bunch of different ways that Dodge made them. Some of them have the same damn part number, but it has different materials that it's made with. When it comes to all these little insignificant parts, little flaps and stuff around the back. So if it's not exactly like yours on some of these little attachment methods in the back and these little flaps and stuff, it's okay because Dodge changed them around a bunch. They all still fit the same and go on the same way. But if you see a big slab of plastic on the back and you see ours just has a 1-inch little strip, it's not a big deal because there's other Dodge ones that have just this one little 1-inch strip as well. So still works. All right, we'll feed this clip through. Okay, all pulled through nice. Okay. All right, before we set the back, we're going to set the front clip and the two side clips. So the front clip is kind of funky, but it rolls, so it's not a regular clip that just goes over and hooks onto the frame. It actually rolls over and then pushes back up into it. So this will come over the front, kind of catch the edge, and then this rolls all the way and then pushes up and it clips into place. So there's vinyl a whole way on the front, all the way up underneath the lip. So you don't see the clip at all once it's installed. You don't see the plastic clip anywhere. You see the vinyl all the way. A lot of people think we sewed it on backwards, but in reality what it's got to do is it does a complete roll and then pushes up into the frame to clip. It's kind of funky. All right, now we'll get sides. All right, now these side clips have a double catch. So it kind of does, it's kind of like McDonald's arches, I guess, kind of like that. So one edge hooks onto the frame, the other edge, you got your pry tool that you can use to stick your pry tool into that channel so it has something to push on to get that clip to hook. That pops on there. there. There we go. That's the other piece. Let's flip to the other side. The two clips on this side are the same as the other side. It's got the double loop. Pull this thing down. Now these will be pretty tight, and if you need some extra slack, if you take your other hand and kind of pull down to collapse the foam and everything, it gives you some more slack when you're pushing down here to clip it on. It'll clip pretty easy there. There we go. Let's get this guy in here. A lot of the edges and stuff are really sharp in here. So if you wind up getting in there with your fingers, be really careful because it'll slice you pretty good. All right, those clips are good. Front's on. Now we get our back. Okay, so on the back we got 3 different ways this goes on. So we got, right. So here's the back of the cover. We got 3 connections really. We got this carpet flap, we got this other do-on piece with some clips on it, and we got this long band that comes all the way across and hooks on to this piece. So first we're gonna hook this piece of do-on, the black material. Now some of them they got 1 clip in the center, some have this little clip on the sides. There's 2 of them, one here and here. There's some factories that don't have that. It's just a flip of the coin whether yours has it or not. Ours will typically have those on there. These little clips roll over and hook onto that, as well as that right there on this other side. So we'll go ahead and stretch those on. This little guy will roll over, hook there. This guy comes over here. If there's not enough slack, don't grab the clip and just yank like hell on it. Start pulling the black material to do on, stretch it down to get that clip to slide on. And then we got the middle, we'll stretch down through here. That's going to hook onto the frame right there in the middle, okay? Next step is we're going to hook the back strap across. Stretch that. These 2 clips clasp together. That clips there. Third, this back carpet flap. This will go across, and then this goes over top of that other clip that's already on there. This is a lot bigger one, so it'll go over top of it. And then we're going to pull this carpet, make sure it's not pulled up too high. There we go. So now we got carpet all across the back. If you happen to have a regular cab, you wouldn't see the carpet here. They'll have just all that black do-on material, but all the covers we're going to make have the carpet on it. So if you have a mega cab or quad cab, and someone looks underneath the seat, and you're going to see the nice finished carpet versus having black do-on across the back. So it'll all be color-coded, be gray, so it matches, or tan, or whatever color you got on the interior. So that's the bottom. Let's see, there's another trim. We got to trim out some holes on the sides. So you got your lumbar knob on the side. Let me show you one other thing. Let me grab the old, well, here's the Dura Foam. I'll show you something on this too. If you happen to have the power seats, like Laramie with power controls, you're going to have a control panel that's right at the front, right over here. So here's the new foam. It's got the indentation cut out for, not cut out, but there's an indentation in the foam where you need to trim out if you do have the power seat. If you don't have power, you don't need to trim this stuff out. Just stay there, it goes on. If you do have a Laramie or have power, just a pair of scissors, trim out that hole right there, and then that gives you room for your control, the rectangle control panel to screw on the side. 2 Phillips head screws is all it is for that. Really easy to do. You want to make a real small slit in it afterwards, so you go ahead and install the cover completely, and then the last thing you're going to do is you're going to trim your lumbar recline knob rig hole for that, plus you'll trim out your hole for the control panel. But that control panel is pretty small. It's a little rectangle. And so if you don't want to cut out something the same size as that, obviously, you want to cut a whole lot smaller. So I usually try to cut a small oval in it. And then, because the cover's already installed, it's already stretched and pulled and fit, and it's sitting where it's going to sit. So just keep cutting small extensions on that oval until you got enough room to stick that control panel back on, and then the panel snaps over the top of it for the side. But if you do have that, before you pull the cover on, make sure you trim your Dura Foam panel out so that there's a void in the foam for the control panel to go in. So we'll set that to the side. But this one does not have power, so we're not trimming any of that kind of crap. We're just going to deal with the recline knob. So side of the seat, got a big flap on it. Fold this up. Here's the control knob. So we've got our do-on the side that had those clips. I'm going to go ahead and trim that do-on real quick, a hole in the do-on so that the little recline gear is there. Now this is, I don't know why they located it here, but it's right damn near on top of the seam line. Okay, so you want to make sure you don't cut across the stitch line because it'll start coming unraveled. And don't tell me that it was like that when you got it if you cut the hole and it starts coming undone because you cut across the damn stitch. So we're going to pull this up. You can see the stitching across the top here. You can see the thread. Just make sure you don't cut across that. We're going to cut right at the bottom here. Just make a little slit. Something like that, that control knob. There we go. So now we got the black knob sticking through the geared knob that your handle will go to. But we also got to trim a hole in the side piece. So we're going to stretch this down. Okay. Like I said, it's almost on top of that seam. So we're going to be pulling this down a little bit, just above that seam line right there. And I'm going to make a little cut. So there's my mark. And if you got something you can mark with, you can. In fact, I'm going to do that. I'm going to get a little grease pen. I'm going to make a little tick mark on it. Grease pen. I'm going to make a little mark. So on the side, I can feel where it is. I'm going to pull this down a little bit, so I can still. So it's just above the stitch line. I'm going to make my little marks. It's right about there. So now I'm going to take my scissors. I'm going to come in here. You don't want to, I've made this mistake a million times. You don't want to, if you're going to poke straight in with your scissors, have them closed. If you're going in like this and you're trying to poke a hole in there, once it gives and you go through the material, guess what? This blade's going to poke a hole right in there. I've done it a million times. So if you're going to have the blade open, put your blade there and then tap on the back of this guy to get your hole started. Or come straight in, poke straight in with that. But I got a little hole, now I'm going to start trimming, making sure I don't cut across that. There's not a whole lot of room for error. We're going to cut more than that, but I mean this whole circumference of that is what's going to, that's what you're going to have to cover it up. So it's not like you get a big ass plastic panel to go over the side. So you got to be a pretty accurate hole. So I'm going to keep trimming that out a little bit more. Let's see if that gives us enough to. There we go. So that extra do-on, let me trim that. Didn't have to be pretty, as long as it exposes that. Okay, so that should give us enough to get that guy on right there. We'll run our screw back in it. So, like I said, it doesn't have to be pretty. I mean, that doesn't look, it's no freaking mosaic, but man, it's a hole, it works. Thing goes back on, you're good to go. Let me grab the screw. Phillips. All right, now, pull this guy back down. Long screw through the middle. There we go. One recline knob in place. Perfect. Like I said, if you have a power control, you do that. Be smart to grab you a grease pen or something. Don't use a Sharpie. Use something you can wipe off. Chalk. Chalk works great. Draw your little line. Start making your trim cuts from there. But that's pretty much the only trim cuts you got to make on these. That cut, and if you have power or not. Come back around. Let's see if there's anything else we would do. We're looking pretty good. If you have a steamer, especially if you have leather seats, you're going to want to steam over the surface of the whole cover after you got it on. It really heats it up, gets it nice and supple, and helps you kind of massage it into place real well. The cloth, this one's, especially on the new Dura Foam, is really nice and tight. I don't have any ripples or folds or creases or anything like that in there. But on the vinyl or on the leather seats and the vinyl, if you got any kind of folds or creasing or anything like that needs to be smoothed out, the steam is really going to help you do that. So take a steamer, just a regular garment steamer, steam that out. You can stretch it around, make sure everything's nice and smooth. This cloth forms pretty easy, a little bit easier than leather does. So there's really nothing I need to adjust with steam on it. But every leather install I do, I hit it with steam afterwards, dry it up with a rag afterwards. You'll be good to go. So Dodge Ram, 6 to 8, 1500, 6 to 9 on the 25 and 3500s. ST, SLT, Laramie, we got it all. Get you a new Dura Foam, get you new covers, match the factory original. If your bottom's messed up, get a bottom and top are messed up, get both. It'll all match with the rest of your interior. All of our stuff matches original. Just give us your VIN number. We'll get you hooked up, man. Go to theseatshop.com. The website is just painfully easy to go through all the steps to pick out your right interior and the right pieces you need for it. You can put your VIN number in at checkout. We'll verify everything on the order before it ships out. If we got any questions about your order, we'll call you. But man, we make it really easy, really straightforward. If you got any questions, give us a call, 214-710-2565. If you like the video, help us out, man. Like it. Follow us on all the social media channels. We put out all kinds of videos, not just install videos, but all kinds of stuff out there, man. Appreciate you watching, guys. Thanks.